What's up, everybody? You are listening to Beyond the Breakdown with Six Scars. I am your host, JT, and I am joined tonight by Bailey, aka the Joining Me Today podcast. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. I will just say you should have called me your lordship, and I'm actually really upset that you didn't give me the proper respect. Like I paid you £200 to tell me that, and you didn't. So, what are you doing,
You
man?
got me. You got me. You got me. I'm so sorry. My lordship over here, the Joining Me Today podcast. I'm so stoked for this one, man. For those that don't know, I got the privilege to be on the Joining Me Today podcast a little bit ago, and it was just such a blast. And we've been trying to make this happen ever since. But where you're over in the UK, it's been a little bit of time trickery. But you're up here braving it for me, and I appreciate you, bud.
No, 100%. I'll do it for you, man. Because you're a fantastic guy. We had such a fantastic episode. Like I can't even believe how long it's been.
I
Actually, you
know.
were saying about how we've been trying to set this up. Like I think it was August around that time. I think you came on, which is now 3 months ago, nearly 4 months. It's
Yeah,
it's great
been
to be
about
catching up, isn't it?
it's been about 2.5, I think, 2.5 months. Time
Yeah.
has flown by, my friend.
It is literally though. It feels like that though at the moment. But yeah, no, I'm glad to be on the show and stuff. This is episode 34 and stuff,
Yeah,
and this is obviously going to be the best episode because I'm here, But
there we
no,
go.
I'm glad to be catching up with you, man.
No, absolutely. And for those that don't know about the Joining Me Today podcast, like I didn't know beforehand, so I mean I can't say anything, but tell them about your mission on your podcast.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know about the Joining Me Today podcast. I'm not really too famous. I've only got 2 million subscribers, but
Oh,
in all seriousness, though, yeah, it's I've always had a passion for podcasting, like just video creation. I mean, and just sort of doing sort of radio, video creating, sort of. It's something I've loved like just for years, and I thought for a while, like a very very long time, I always like the idea of people sitting down and just having these sort of discussions, even back at the point where podcasts weren't the big thing and stuff that they are now. Like I'm talking, this is pre Joe Rogan and stuff, like really getting famous and having all the influx of new podcasts we got now. Like you got nostalgia podcasts, you got like celebrity podcasts, ones based off TV shows, like people rewatching stuff. Like before all of this stuff came in, I've always liked this idea of just sitting around having a chat. Like I've even loved back in the day, it was like when people would play games and they'd play with their mates and just sitting down, chilling with a game. It very much reminds me of this kind of thing. And like, I was like, I just want to get into this space. I really want to do a podcast and stuff. And I've also always loved journalism and stuff like that
oh,
and sort of doing media stuff. So this plays right into it. You kind of put two and two together. Loves media and journalism. I love my interviews, mixing it with video content creation and creativity. Boom, making a podcast that's all basically about every episode speaking to fantastic people that interest me specifically as well. Like I'm very much about this podcast is stepping into the world of Bailey. You're going to get guests that you've never thought would come after an episode with so and so. Like that's my show. It's very much a whole variety sort of basically. So yeah, and if you guys can subscribe, please do, because I really need the money. I'm joking.
dude, I get it. I saw your channel this morning, and I was like, he is criminally underrated. So I'll be sure to drop the link to the actual YouTube in the comments after the stream. So I mean, you said it yourself, where you were talking about how you've loved journalism and how you've loved just connecting, and probably in the same way that I do, where it's you just love hearing people's stories. You love that aspect of humanity. What's your content been like ever since you started with YouTube? Like what did it begin with to where it is now?
Well, that's actually the crazy thing. And I was thinking about this earlier, obviously, like, a bit sort of a peek behind the curtain. Obviously, I've been sort of thinking about, what I mean, like things that were going to come up and all that in this episode and stuff and things we're going to talk about. But like, I'm now considered a bit of a veteran on YouTube now because I've been making content since like 2014.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy now because people would say, no, a lot of people have been making content for a very long time. And it's like, if you see the percentage breakdowns, most people have come in during COVID. I was there well before COVID and stuff like that. So like, yeah, like in the beginning, I was doing gameplay content, like let's play stuff. I was doing
Oh,
things. Everything about me has always been such a variety show and stuff. A bit like me and stuff. I'm naturally a very out there, all over the place person. Like you can even see, like I've got gaming, sort of. I've got a little Toon Link there and stuff. I'm a big fan of Wind Waker. Like I love video games. And on this is a shelving unit here, and I've got like vinyls on here. I've got even Minecraft stuff. I've got
oh
Sonic.
man.
Like that's what I mean. It's just I'm into all these sorts of things. I'm not a very stay in one lane sort of person. So like, yeah, even early on, I'm doing unboxings. I'm doing even a little bit like sort of videos like this, like discussion content. I'm doing, you know, first impressions of games. I even used to do a series where I was, you know, you had the Games with Gold service with Xbox Live. You know, they
Yeah.
every month. I was doing first impression reviews of those games. So
Oh wow.
I was like obviously downloading the game, and then I was doing my first impression of these games that might have come out 2 years ago, 5 years ago. But it's all about, hey, I'm playing this game, and you can too because it's free with Games for Gold. So it's always been about serializing content. It's always been about, you know, just sort of diving into the world of me essentially. And then that stopped in early 2018 and stuff. And then I always wanted to come back because I love YouTube. I love creativity. And then I come back with the podcast in 2022, mid 2022. And I've been doing it 2 years. And now I'm doing this sort of content. I'm not doing Let's Play content. So it's quite I've done a whole range of content, filming in all different ways. And yeah, so it's been a whole variety over the years.
Wow. So, I mean, what's that transition been like? You know, going from the Let's Play and the first reviews to doing what you do now, which is podcasting. What's that kind of been like for you? Was it a challenge at first?
It really actually was. I didn't think it would be, which is the maddest thing. Like when I was preparing for my first episode with Chad, funny enough, they call me Hat Guy and stuff from the
Yeah.
Renegades and stuff. I had him on for my first episode. And I remember stuff like I didn't do any sort of pre-recording preparations, like practicing my speaking, whatever. I was like, I've got this, I'm experienced, and all of this. I'd forgotten that I hadn't done any videos since 2018. So it's 2018 to 2022. In those 4 years, I've become an adult. You know what I mean? My voice sounds different. You know what I mean? I'm at a different stage of my life and stuff like that. And you would think that stuff doesn't matter. But the old content I used to make, I was making it as somebody who was like 15, 16. And I was playing into the way YouTube is at the time, very much, and the content I was watching at the time. So it's very like, hey guys, hey, it's Mike Pokel here, back with another episode of, and it's all of this. It's very like moving around, that Jacksepticeye Markiplier stuff.
Yep.
And then I realized, like, so because when I went to do my first episode, I was all like that. And I was like, oh, today, first episode, joining me today podcast. And I watched it back and I went, oh no, this doesn't suit this. Like, this isn't a more formal sort of, because even though, you know, I have a chat, I have a laugh on the podcast, but it's a bit more formal than trying to be like Markiplier playing Amnesia or something. You know, it's a very different vibe. And I realized, no, this is different. Like, don't overestimate what you think, you know what I mean, is like don't overestimate and stuff. Like, you might think, oh yeah, I've recorded stuff in the past, it's fine, you know, I can speak on camera. And you'd think, oh, it's obvious, you know what I mean? It's obvious, like it's going to be a different vibe, whatever. But when that red light's on and you're going, or if, like, especially with me, because I'm so experienced, I think back to what I know and stuff like that, what I'm used to. So you kind of slip back into that sort of stage. And then you go, oh no, that's not right. And it sometimes you get a bit lost in doing the same thing you've done in the past. And you're like, no, this is different now. And I had to switch things up quite quickly. But now I feel like I'm at a stage where I can now switch between the two. If you wanted me to be more YouTube gaming Bailey, boom, I can turn that on. If you want me to be podcast Bailey, boom. And you have to do that during episodes, speaking of transitions, because certain guests have different vibes. And that's something else I learned of, like, oh yeah, this guest is a bit more reserved, or this guy is more British laddie, like sort of what like Americans would call more like your jocks or whatever and stuff, but they're somehow more annoying. But I'm joking. I'm joking. But yeah, like you're thinking on a bit more of that sports banter and stuff like that. If you got more of a sports guest on, you know what I mean? You switch up your personality to suit the guest, and that's something also you don't think about, because I was working on my own back in the past. It's just me, me or like me and like somebody else sort of that I know, whether it be like my cousin or something like that. Like, so you're so used to just doing things your own way, sort of more performing to yourself. Now you're kind of performing to a guest, and you've got all these different guests. So yeah, you don't think there's much of a transition, but until you've done it, then you realize, oh, there definitely is.
Yeah, absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with the whole you cater to how your guest is, because you can get those ones where they're so reserved and you kind of have to draw it out of them, right? Like you kind of have to baby step them into really being vulnerable. But what is it like? And we've not discussed this previously, but what is it like kind of having the gaming Bailey and the podcast Bailey, but also there's real life Bailey? So, I mean, is there still a little bit of a shift in between that and real life Bailey?
That's always been a very interesting question to me, because that's basically the question of like, how much do I sort of turn it up in the videos, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it's always an odd question for me, if that makes sense, because I float between like, even am I playing a character or am I not? And it's not even necessarily like the blurred lines thing, but it's just like, even we've spoken off camera, I'm very much like this sometimes, but sometimes I'm not. So sometimes in an episode, I'll play up to a joke a bit, or I'll be like something I would always mess something like that up. But obviously, I probably wouldn't. But it's just me, like, what I want to make it light-hearted and fun.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Whatever. But I don't know. I just, in my life, I'm very like, I just flow and I just float between different personalities kind of anyway. So I'd say that sometimes you're going to get YouTube Bailey, like podcast Bailey. Sometimes you're going to get gaming Bailey, and a lot of the time you get tired Bailey, because I'm constantly fatigued. So that's the one I always am. I'm always like 2 steps away from grabbing 7 cans of Monster.
I mean, I don't have one tonight, but I have a cream soda, so I'm right there with you. I'll have one here shortly.
I might have to get something out now and stuff. Oh, sad.
Right?
There's no shops open because it's so late at night. I can't be like, stop the podcast, let me order like Uber Eats some like drinks or something. Oh,
So actually, that will bring me to another question. What is it like doing this in the UK? And are most of your guests primarily based in the United Kingdom?
well, this is what's very interesting, because like living in the UK and stuff, it's similar and different to America. And sort of where I'm going with this is sort of like, so I've had a variety of American and British guests on and stuff like that. And I feel, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this point. I know where I'm going with this. It's like, I feel like you need to kind of mix up a bit in terms of, you need to have a mix up in terms of like what different types of guests you're getting on. You know what I mean? And stuff. I like things that are more American, that are more British and stuff. But basically what I'm trying to say is that like the location thing kind of matters and doesn't matter in a way.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like sometimes and stuff like that, like you like things that have got a more British vibe. Sometimes it's an American vibe and stuff. And I think sometimes people forget about that. The different countries have these different cultures, but in the way of just little things, in terms of, even though we all speak English, we've all got our own sort of cultures, whatever, and stuff. And sort of that can end up even impacting the episode. So, like I said, sometimes I'll have a guest where they're more into like football, and football's a big part of the UK. So you cater it to that. So you're doing laddie banter things, you're doing things that are more, you're referencing certain things that only sort of British people would get, you know what I mean? Football people would get. But then other times and stuff, then I have like Americans on, and then you're switching it up. Then I'm doing more American references, or I'm sort of more keeping it specifically to the genre and stuff like that they're from and stuff. But yeah, no, I mix it up and stuff like a lot. The music side, because I do obviously a whole variety of guests, but I focus a lot more on music guests in recent
Mhm.
years. That tends to be the British side more. The YouTube side has been a lot more American leaning, because
Okay.
the thing is, there's not too many, in my opinion, there's not too many YouTubers in the British space that appeal to me than the UK scene. Whereas then it's the flip side, I'd say more for music. I'm really loving the British underground scene at the moment. So that's what I mean. So in the UK, sometimes we're great at other things, but a lot of the time and stuff, we have to look into like other countries and other cultures to get that. But the time zones thing is the main thing that is like, ouch. How I've said it before on my own podcast. Like, how do you guys deal with the time zone thing? Especially you being an interviewer. I don't know if you've done many on different time zones, but what's it like for you?
Oh man, so you are actually the second interview that I've had from somebody over in the UK. The first one I did with my buddy Chris Dredge. He's in a metal band out of the UK called Spawn of Psychosis. He came on because he's a wild man at 8 p.m. my time, which would be like 1 a.m. your time. And he had work the next morning, and he stayed on and talked for like 2 hours. I was like, oh my God, dude. I am so sorry.
And the thing is as well, it's like it's also much colder here as well. So like when it's like wintertime, it's or even during the summer, it's not just late, you're freezing as well.
Dude, I could imagine. I don't know how it is over there right now, but I know here it's about like 32.
So 32 Fahrenheit, what is that in terms of like Celsius?
Oh, that's right.
Oh, this is what I mean. It's the American British things.
You guys are so weird with this. Hang on.
But this is what I mean. I said it as though, yeah, he'll know. But no, because your normal is Fahrenheit, but my normal is like Celsius. This is what I mean. Yeah, but it's things like this, though. Like, as you're searching that up, though, this is the thing that people don't think about. And you think about this as an interviewer. Like, little words where you're used to the British version of the terms or something that's a British thing. And you'll say it and stuff. And then the guests are like, oh, I don't know what that is. And then you're like, oh yeah, they don't know because your life's different. You've got your own culture, whereas they can make a joke about something like Panda Express, and I'm like, yeah, I don't get it. But that's not a bad thing. That's brilliant because it makes funny moments because you're like, oh, you've got that over there, ain't you? You haven't got this, like da 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 da. And it's great because you get to explore these different cultures and stuff. But I do wish that we was a bit hotter here, though.
Well, according to this, I don't know if this is accurate, but the very first one that popped up is it is equal to 0 degrees Celsius.
That must be right, but that feels wrong. I don't know. That feels.
I don't know.
This is what I mean. Who knows?
I know. Well, it's funny, and we won't stay on this topic too long. But I remember when you interviewed me, and I had made a remark and I didn't mean it to sound the way it did, but you took it in like a perverted way where I said that maybe one day me and Nate could, double team the podcast. And you're like, oh no. And it just shows the fundamental difference between like UK and the American culture. Because double team over here could make usually is like in wrestling, like, tag teams. So it's like, oh man, like we could both be on the same podcast and we'll just double team it. You took it like
no, okay. I need to explain this moment because it's actually something really funny, right? Because when I was going through the edit and stuff like that, I had sort of taken this part and stuff like that out of the episode and stuff. But when I was going through the edit, I thought you'd said and stuff. I thought you'd said like sorry to I know it's like sorry to speak French, whatever and stuff. But like I thought you'd said double deed, and I was like, because I thought you were making a joke, and I was like, whoa, I'm like, what? and then I was like, oh, it's a funny slip up thing, whatever. And then when I went back in the edit, you said double teams, and I was like, oh no, he was being normal. I've just got such bad hearing that I misheard you. So I've come out and said, how could you say that? You're panicking because you think you said something wrong, and it's me who's been the arsehole.
Damn you, Bailey. Also, there is no censor on this one, so you're good.
And I had to say the British version of the term because I've got to get myself over with the British stuff.
You might as well be a wrestler at this point with how much you're getting yourself over.
Well, I'm actually wearing, I don't know if we can see, I'm going to stand up. Oh, get up from my chair. I'm wearing an Adam Cole shirt.
Baby!
Yes. And actually, Survivor Series is happening right as we're recording this.
I know, dude.
Survivor Series. Like, have you been keeping up with wrestling? Because I know you do like it a little bit. Like,
Survivor
Series, what are your predictions?
Oh man, I'm thinking that Roman will probably win against the new version of the Bloodline. And I think that Punk is going to cash in a favor with Paul Heyman pretty soon, probably being him going against Roman for the title.
Or maybe it could be something on that same night. Maybe it's a cash in a different way, innit? Like, not the Money in the Bank one, but like, because people are saying, is Paul Heyman going to do a heel turn tonight? They're saying tonight's going to be the heel turn and stuff. But I don't know if I want to see it though. I like Punk and Heyman as good guys.
I do too, man. I don't want Punk to turn, and I don't want Heyman to turn on Reigns. I can't believe I'm saying that, but
He's so much better as a good guy, though. I think CM Punk, like back in the day when he's doing the heel stuff, especially the straight edge society stuff, which never gets spoken about, that was fantastic. But now he's the age he is. I want to see him be a face now, like a sort of a leader, a figurehead in it. I don't just want him to be like, and I hate this town. Boo! It's like, come on, man, you're 45. Like,
yeah, his story just leans himself to that babyface, reaction because he was gone for so long, and now here we are. We get like this second chance to witness. I'm not even gonna lie, his greatness, because I love CM Punk, dude. I've been following him since Ring of Honor, and I will follow him till the day he retires.
Even the Ring of Honor days, like legit.
Yeah.
Because then did you remember when he came into WWE? It was like the ECW thing. Like, did you watch that at the time it was happening then?
I did, man. Over here in the US, it was ECW on the Sci-Fi Channel. And oh boy, was it a slog to get through most of the time. But then when CM Punk came in, I was like, oh my God. But here's the thing. He gained like 40 pounds, and that just wasn't his frame. Like, he looked kind of out of it and everything. It took him a while to find it. But, dude, when he found it, man, from like 2006 on, he was tearing it apart.
And the interesting thing is, though, he was the only one from that indie scene they brought in. It took them years to get the indie guys in because Samoa Joe, Bryan Danielson, Nigel McGuinness, they were all in Ring of Honor, but they only wanted Punk. But then everyone says, oh, he was the guy that had loads of heat. So if he was the guy that had loads of heat and people didn't like him, why was he the only guy that was brought in? I always found it weird that Daniel Bryan and all that didn't come in earlier.
Dude, I have no idea why they didn't bring Daniel Bryan in earlier, because you talk about a missed opportunity. You get the American Dragon and CM Punk and Samoa Joe under the same roof. But at the time, Vince, I don't know. Vince is a whole other ordeal. I'd rather.
AJ Styles and Samoa Joe were in the same promotion after the great stuff they did in TNA. We're going really deep into the wrestling stuff now, but
right?
Because I'm really big on wrestling at the moment. But like AJ Styles and Samoa Joe are at the same company at the same time. They could have done some fantastic feuds with them. These are two legends of the wrestling business whose chemistry is on a whole other another level. There are couples out there that wish I had the same chemistry as them two. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, and the storyline they did was about, like, I think it was about like, oh, your kid and stuff like that is going to consider me dad now. And
yeah.
Like, oh my God, just let them wrestle, let them cook, and they'll make you a 4-course meal. Instead, we got like McDonald's past 12 a.m. It's like, why?
Yeah, no, I agree. I know, dude, how sick would it be, because we got the Motor City Machine Guns in WWE now? How sick would it be for Samoa to get one last run and we get Shelly, Sabin, Styles, and Joe in a match?
Oh, and they're like, just for funsies, because TNA are working with WWE, make it an X Division match with the whole, the ropes at the top.
The Ultimate X.
Imagine that, but like in a WWE style of like formatting and filming, cinematics and all that. Oh,
it'd be beautiful.
So awesome.
Absolutely. I could sit here and talk wrestling literally for hours with you. I can already tell. But I do want to be mindful of your time. So I know I have a few more minutes of your time over here. I want to ask you.
Wait a minute. You know what? I'm going to say it, man. If you want to go an extra minute, it's gone. We can keep going. I'm cool.
Okay, cool. So going back to your, love of journalism and what made you get into the whole podcasting world, outside of the podcast, man, I know you have a love of creativity and different things like that. What do you do to keep yourself fresh, keep yourself going?
For me, like, it's quite funny because I don't know how other people think when it comes to creativity, but all I've ever known is that I'm constantly thinking of different ideas, like constantly. Like and it's not just in one lane. It's not even just content creation. I'm thinking of like different ideas, like invention ideas I love to do, and like like I said, like sort of video creation ideas. Obviously, different video series, different podcasts, and stuff like that. I've got a few things in the pipeline, and so like I've got another thing as well, and stuff like that. That's sort of YouTube channel related. All I'm going to say, it's a bit related to what we was talking about earlier. That's all I'm going to say for now.
Okay.
That's in the pipeline, but just constantly thinking of ideas, like even music videos, ideas, pieces of music. Like I've already got. I haven't created any music ever in my life, but I've already got a full album list of songs for an album
Oh,
already.
dude.
Literally, and I made this when I was like 16, 17, and I just basically did it in like 15 minutes. And I look back at the list and I'm like, this list of names is absolutely amazing. Like there was one I did sort of one time and stuff, and it's called Dr. Reynolds Will See You Now. That was one song title I did, and it's all about sort of talking about therapy and what the whole experience is like before you go into the therapy room and stuff. It's things that people don't talk about. People talk about what you talk about with your therapist, but they don't think about what it's like being in that waiting room and stuff. I know it's a bit different now because people do stuff on BetterHelp.
Well,
Won't say anything about BetterHelp, but we'll leave it there.
yeah.
But other services like that. But like and stuff like that, I've previously done therapy and stuff like that, and I've done it sort of in person and stuff. And like that experience of sitting in that waiting room and like all the things like sort of going sort of like through your head, whatever, and stuff like that. I don't think people like think about that experience. And that was just one song title idea I thought of. And I was like, oh, there you go. Like the Dr. Reynolds Will See You Now thing could be like the ending of the song, because it's like, oh, the doctor's ready. The therapist is ready. This is what I mean. Like, this is my creative brain. I'm just like, I'm always thinking of all these creative ideas, but like, yeah, I love it. And that's how I keep it fresh, like for the podcast and all that, because I'm constantly thinking of, right, I could maybe go this direction with this episode, or maybe I could do this. Here's a new segment I might introduce. So I'm just always thinking of new ideas, and sometimes I implement them, sometimes I don't. But yeah, it's all about new ideas constantly, always thinking creatively.
Man, okay. So is it ever exhausting on your mind when you have so many thoughts going and you want to achieve them all, but at the same time, maybe not right now, you can't? Like for me, I'll get a thought in my head and I'm like, oh man, this would be so cool to implement on the podcast. And then I'm like, I can't do that shit.
But it is a thing though. It's like timing and all that, and it's sort of how much it's something where like in adulthood you just don't have you got real life responsibilities, in it. When you're a kid, you got all the time in the world, and then you get to adulthood and it's like, why didn't I do creative things when I was younger? And that's what benefited me, because I started stuff when I was younger, so I kind of already got my foots in the door, because I'm only sort of like young and stuff like that. I'm only in my early 20s, so I was doing YouTube in my teens and all that when I had all this free time. And now I wish I had that free time now, because it's like, dang it, because I would have been great. But no, I don't know. For me, creativity is such a part of my lifeblood. Thinking about it is the same as I would do like a music artist and stuff that I love listening to, or a TV show that I love to rewatch. You know what I mean? Like a sitcom you love to rewatch again and again. Yeah. It doesn't get exhausting, because creativity is just such a part of my lifeblood that I just love it. You know what I mean? I just love to think about it, think of new ideas. That to me gives me life, as opposed to like drains it away.
Dude, okay. I love that, man. I haven't heard that answer before when it came to creativity, so that's really cool. I love that it actually inspires you to do more. I know some people, it can be like, really heavy on them if they can't achieve everything that they set out to do right then and there, and I'm guilty of that. But I know I got a couple more minutes with you, and I just have a few more things to touch on here. You did say that you are like a hardcore gamer. So I am out of the gaming loop right now. I am not going to lie. I'm I'm sadly 34 years old, doing a full-time job, trying to make podcasting a full-time job as well as everything, blah, blah, blah. I've not sat down and played a new video game in I don't know how long. Probably since Frostpunk 2. But what are you rocking right now, man? What are you playing?
In typical British fashion, I'm playing a lot of FIFA. So that's the most British answer you'll hear from somebody. I got the new FIFA. I love it very much, and it's a very good game. And I totally haven't smashed 2 tellies in the process. But anyway, I really don't like it this year. It's really
Really?
bad. And it's been bad for a while. It's because they've gone a lot of these sports games and stuff like that. They've gone so much in. That's why I can't play Madden. I like the current Madden games. I'm a big fan of American football. It's so in the simulation now, and it's too realistic. It's gone away from gaming, and I feel like that's a big thing with the whole space now. I see it now, and I'm like, I'm meant to be a gamer, but I don't feel like I relate to this space anymore. Like when I see esports and energy drinks, and when I see who some of the big streamers are, the gaming streamers, and I'm like I see people like SQC, and I'm like, I don't relate to you at all. Like you're not like, and it's not about gatekeeping or anything like that, but it's just I don't relate to you at all. Like I just feel like the gaming scene has changed so much, and you could probably sort of vibe with that yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you mentioned Madden. Like, I refuse to buy any current Madden just because they want to do microtransactions and everything else just to play a full game. So it's over here it would be like $69.99 to buy the new Madden. And then that's still not even the unlimited version. Like you still have all the DLC packs to buy, and it's just like $100 and some at the end of the day that you're spending just to get a full game. And man, they got the gaming systems rigged, man. They got everybody buying it.
And that's the thing though, isn't it? It's like that's how, like, I think I saw this thing once where they said like Activision was making like 1.2 billion or something crazy off microtransactions. And I think that was just for Call of Duty. So that's not including Overwatch and all these other brands they own. And so I think that's what it said, or it was something like that. So people buy it. So that's how the market's still there. I think of over here in the UK and stuff like that for years and years. Our biggest content creators, like especially more in the gaming space, so many of them was basically making like YouTube videos and getting all these views by opening FIFA packs, like trying to like get the best players on Ultimate Team, like sort of, you know, for those who don't know, you can open, it's basically like baseball cards, but it's like virtual football cards, and then you could play them on your team. So you got Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi up here because you got them in this pack and all that. And for a while, the YouTube scene was dominated by all these people just opening packs. And you'd see like on their thing, it'd say, oh, they spent like whatever, £50, £100 on FIFA points, or they spent £200, but they knew they were going to return £1,000 in investment in the video. And then that trickled out because it was basically gambling. Let's call it what it is, basically. And it was like, and then other people were then like, oh yeah, I want to sort of then, you know, do this because this is cool. So it became like a big thing in the UK at the time. It was massive on YouTube. So like, I don't know, I don't think it really hit Madden and all that as much as it did with FIFA with the microtransactions. But nah, people buy into it and love it, don't they?
Yeah, well, I mean, Madden has that thing now, I think for like the last 10 years or so, where it's that Madden Ultimate Team, and it's all like card packs that you buy through the digital store. So it's very similar to that. It's all microtransaction based just to build your own legendary team and all this. And man, here I am. I'm 34. So I remember playing Madden 99 back on the PlayStation 1 when Madden Ultimate Team was literally like you had to go through and break all the records to unlock characters.
I feel bad as well because we spoke about this on the original episode, but I wasn't even born when Madden 99 came out. So I'm sorry, man. I'm making you feel old again.
Get off my podcast. How about that?
That is the end of the show. I have just been kicked off.
No, I know I do have to let you go here in just a second, but I want to ask you where everybody can find you online. I know you have YouTube, but I think you're also on Spotify.
Yeah, the Spotify is something that I definitely need to work on. Because doing the audio versions means I have to go back through the episodes, and my episodes take a long time to edit. So it's kind of like, oh, now I've got to go through it all over again. So I want to get onto the audio stuff because I think Spotify is definitely another awesome way for people to be able to find my content. But YouTube, I've always wanted to be sort of a YouTuber and stuff like that, whatever. And so I just love that. You know what I mean? It's been something that I've wanted to do for years. So yeah, check me out on YouTube. That is the show. It's a YouTube podcast show. That is what the show really is at its core. So yeah, check me out on YouTube. Check me out on Instagram and stuff. I'm always promoting the episodes out there, and I'm doing different highlight clips and stuff where we cover stuff like gaming, music, and speak to all kinds of guests, all amazing guests, and they're interviewed by the most handsome person in the UK. Like, look at this, like. I've got the great beard going and stuff.
You do.
I've got an amazing nose. I don't know. I've got nothing. But check out the show. Check it out on YouTube. Joining me today podcast. Give us a subscribe. That would be highly appreciated.
Oh man, Bailey, dude, this has been such a blast.
It has been amazing. It's been great catching up and stuff like that with yourself. And another shout out quick, check out my episode with JT. He's actually been on my show and stuff, and we had a brilliant laugh and stuff. We got to dive into your sort of creativity and your interests and all that. So check that out. I'll actually look to the camera when I'm doing my shout out now because I always forget to do that in my episodes. Check out and stuff that episode with JT. It's episode 27. Go check that one out as well.
Hell yeah. So here we go. Two questions. Second to last one is, how long have you been following Nate and the Renegades?
So I first found out about them, I think in 2017.
Oh, wow.
It's 2017, 18 or 19, because I'm pretty sure it was pre-COVID, and it was me searching for reactions to JonTron videos, because I'm a massive fan of JonTron. I'm a massive fan of early 2010s YouTube and all that, and JonTron is one of the people that really encompasses why I love that period and stuff like that of YouTube content creation. So I was trying to search for JonTron reactions. And at first, at the time, I just didn't really. This is what I mean in terms of different personalities and how as you age, you sort of change who you are. Because at the time I first watched them, I was like, oh, this isn't my vibe. I don't really like this. And then I think I found out, I went and tried their stuff out again in, I think, late 2021. And I fell in love with their stuff. You know what I mean? I fell in love with the Renegades and stuff like that. And then I went and started watching Chad's content. They call me Hat Guy, who's also on the Renegades channel. Then I started watching his stuff, and then I got him on the show, and then we had a laugh, and I got Nate on the show. I've been a fan of them now for about 3 years now, I'd say. Yeah, and then obviously I discovered yourself through the Renegades.
Yeah, dude. Man, I always love seeing you when I'm doing the live streams. I always try to make sure I get to shout you out because, dude, you're awesome. I had such a blast doing this episode with you and the one that we did before. So here you go, man. This is the Beyond the Breakdown question that I ask every guest at the end. So you went beyond the breakdown with 6 scars tonight, man. How the hell are you feeling?
I am feeling tired. I'm sorry.
Oh, did we lose you? I swear, did we lose him? I do believe we lost him. Bailey, if you can hear me, man, I hope you have a absolutely amazing night. Thank you so much for doing this podcast, my friend. To anyone that's watching, I appreciate you tuning in. This has been such a great time. Always really cool getting to know other people's stories and hearing where they come from, especially when it's not US based. Don't think that the podcast has gone for long. Tomorrow night, I am going to be sitting down with Sam G of a band called Don't Feed the Birds. If you do not know who Don't Feed the Birds are, maybe you should check that episode out. Until next time, see ya.